What is the crack? Welcome to Oulton Park. This week's track. The format for this track guide is we're going to do one full speed lap. I'm going to talk you through that as best I can, and then we're going to break it down in the next section, and I'll show you exactly where my braking points are, where I think is important and all that. On the third section, we're going to go through setup and a little bit of racecraft. On the screen, you'll see my pedal inputs on the left hand side, my speeds, and the timing, all that stuff. So let's dive into a lap. So the last corner is always very, very important in most tracks. This is such a low speed corner, it doesn't really matter if you mess that up. The most important corner really is this turn one. You want to get a really good drive out here. Track limits are quite wide on this version of the track in Assetto Corsa, but I would recommend staying in nice and tight like that. Nice and fast through here. Keep an eye on the signs on the left hand side, and you want to brake just at this hairpin sign. Be careful coming into the corner here, it's quite bumpy, and get a nice release. Car went off there. Look out for the 100 sign coming up here. Take a nice chunk of that corner, really nice and slow here, and a nice flowing line. I'll go into more detail on that in a second. So you want to go absolutely flat out here. Keep an eye out for the yellow sign on the left hand side, and you want to turn in just before that and drop one gear only. Then all the way up to fifth and back down to third, and then you're back onto the start finish straight. So it all happens quite quickly. Let's break that down into a little bit more of a detailed guide. That was a 110.5. If any of you want to try this, please feel free to download the car and the track in the description below. So here we go. So turn one is super tricky. You want to keep an eye out for these Dunlop signs on the left hand side. So go past the first, go past the second, and my braking point is pretty much the start of this sign. So go past the flags, keep an eye out for this jordanbikes.com sign. That's my braking point. So you want to brake quite hard down to fourth. So you see my braking pressure here is almost full. Drop down to fourth and turn in. You want to catch this apex. The apex is pretty much just past this first pillar on the right hand side, and you want to stay nice and tight here. If you go wide there, it can be fast, but the car can be completely unsettled, and it's just not the most ethical line. So this line is pretty good. You see, this is my fastest lap so far. So keep an eye out for the Dunlop sign on the right. You want to brake just before that, down to fourth gear, and your apex, you keep an eye on this little column, little pole, little marker. That's your apex, and you want to get a really good drive out of there. You want to get on the accelerator as early as possible. So you see my accelerator, this green one, that comes on and it stays on. So keep an eye out for the hairpin sign on the left. That's my braking marker. Brake nice and hard. Brake in a straight line. Very important. Second gear, and keep the car nice and settled through here. You see there's not a lot of pedal input. Brake a little bit of a trail brake going into the corner, and gradually onto that accelerator. The last thing you want to do is accelerate hard coming out of this corner. So nice gradual, because that's what happens. Gradual on the accelerator. Then you've got the 100 marker on the left hand side. That's your braking point, and you want to turn in relatively early. You see how early I've turned in here, and you want to take a good chunk of that curb. As long as one wheel is on the tarmac, you're fine. So this is very important. Resist the temptation to accelerate out of this corner. So look at my accelerator input, nice and easy, and a little bit of throttle here. So You want to almost coast out of this corner, coast out of it, accelerate, then set yourself up for this corner. This is a vitally important corner. You want to be out as wide to the left as you can. So I come off slightly, I don't brake here. And I could have done better in that corner. I could have been closer to this apex. But you don't want to be on that curb because it will bounce you and spin you. So flat out up here. Coming up Clay Hill. So keep an eye out for the sign on the left hand side, and just before the sign on the left hand side, you want to get on the brakes. So if you want, you can use this marker on the right hand side. There's an orange marker, this one here. That's pretty much the exact braking point. So I actually went up to 6th and back down to 5th. I probably would have been quicker if I had stayed in 5th, because in 5th I was doing 237 kilometers an hour. Went to 6th and got up to 240 kilometers an hour. It probably wasn't worth my while shifting up, so I could have stayed in 5th gear, dropped down to 4th, and get a nice line through here. So down to 4th. Again, this little pillar is your apex. You want to get in as close as possible to that and get a really good drive. You want to be on the accelerator as early as possible. So I probably could have done even better here than this particular lap, but it's very hard to put a full lap together here, so it does take practice. So my braking point here is this last Dunlop sign. Last Dunlop sign coming into Lodge Corner. It's extremely bumpy on this version of the track here. I don't know if it's like that in real life. Maybe some of you who've driven it in real life can testify to that. But really slippy coming out here because you're almost off camber coming off this corner, and nice and flat up the straight. So 110.5. As for racecraft and setup, so setup, I've softened the suspension quite a bit. I've adjusted camber, tire pressures. This is a low fuel load as well. I messed with the diff a little bit, and I changed the toe out a little bit as well, after a subscriber recommended it. And a lot of the tips for the corners have come from subscribers as well who were watching me do this live last night. As for racecraft, this is going to be a really tough one to race on, guys, because there's not a lot of opportunity to overtake. I would recommend that you on these difficult corners. So I don't think you're going to get much of a chance to overtake here in turn 1. If you get a really good run on someone, you might get up beside them and you might hope that they back off, but it's going to be very difficult to go too wide around here. It's doable, but it's going to be very difficult because one of you is going to get shoved off. Your best bet is to get a really good run through that corner, which is a slightly technical corner. If someone gets a poor run, you've got a bit of a long straight here. Then after the hairpin, this one's essential. Coming out here, people are going to put pressure on you, or you're going to put pressure on people. So really important section of the track. This is relatively difficult here to get up alongside somebody, but totally doable. It's a little bit risky, but if you can get the position, more power to you. It's really, this track is going to reward the people who are aggressive and consistent. That doesn't mean go drive like an idiot. Only overtake in these sections if you know exactly what you're doing. And again, this drive out here, this is going to be the one that separates most people. If you get a good drive out here, if you drop a wheel on the dirt, you're going to get passed out. And maybe this one as well. It's a very tricky corner, easy to lose grip, so people might get up alongside you. So really short lap. It's only just over a minute long. That's about it for me for my track guide this week, guys. If you have any comments, feedback, or tips on how to do better, please do give a comment below. If you have a better lap yourself, if you want to do a replay, by all means, I'd love to see it. Please do use this car and this track. But that's about it for me, guys. Thanks a million for watching. I'll chat to you later.